Welcome back to AM Northwest. Our next guest has written a memoir that is heartbreaking and harrowing, but also an inspiring look at an individual's ability to overcome adversity. In Child X, he shines a light on the lost children of Scientology and shares his powerful personal journey. We welcome back to AM Northwest author and artist Jamie Mustard. Great to see you again, Jamie.
Thank you for having me again.
Your book is just incredible. I don't know how you're sitting here alive and talking and thriving.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it could almost be called a kid's book about the impossible in a lot of ways.
It is the impossible. Let's talk about the lost children of Scientology, because there are many out there, and then many have lost their lives.
That's true. I mean, what people have to understand is on the day of my birth, I was turned over to Scientology's paramilitary organization and put into a slum nursery on the outskirts of downtown Los Angeles, where there were 2 caretakers to 30 or 40 babies. So I spent the first 2.5 years of my life with little to no human touch, lying straight up. I mean,
and your care, the care they gave you, was next to nothing.
It was next to nothing. We'd be lying in our own sick for days with our eyes crusted over. It was a very, and then I didn't go to school. And you could almost, I would say that I was animalized. It was a kind of animalization of the living conditions.
It's hard to think that you might have memories from that time because you were so little, but you've had a caretaker touch base with you and tell you that what your memories are correct.
There was a 7-year-old girl that couldn't get me out of her head that was one of my caretakers. She was kind of an assistant.
She was 7 and a caretaker.
And I stayed in her head for 40 years.
Yeah.
And so she reached out to me a couple of years ago and was able to verify. I think when you stare up at the ceiling all day for 2.5 years, you'll remember that.
Yeah.
And then told me some things and filled in some gaps that I didn't remember that were pretty horrifying.
Why did your mother put you in this situation?
Because she believed that she was going to save the world. I mean, she was a product of the 60s and 70s and that idealism and that whole generation of people that, the world was, from Manson to all the assassinations of RFK and MLK and Malcolm X and the Cuban Missile Crisis. I think there was a pressure on that generation, and I think that's why they kind of dropped out and looked. There were thousands of these groups. There's a story about Scientology where it's run by an inner core that's kind of set up like a navy. Mm-hmm. And they're the kind of religious people that run it. They had bases on 4 continents. You're talking Australia, Central Florida, East Los Angeles towards downtown, Copenhagen, and Mexico City. So there's what happened to these kids that were part of the inner navy that has never been told. I call it the lost generation of Scientology. And I've finally kind of come out of my shell because
it took you a while to write this.
It was, I mean, I was living in a tremendous amount of shame. I mean, the living conditions, I don't want how graphic I'm allowed to get, but I didn't grow up with bed sheets. I didn't learn to brush my teeth. I didn't go to school. I lived in dorms with bunks stacked 3 high from the age of 3. In slum tenements in Los Angeles. And so we're
looking at this incredible, sweet picture of you right here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was on a rare beach trip. And so, I mean, in a lot of ways, I don't know how I'm standing here considering the animalization and just the pressure. I mean, at the age of 19, when I finally got out, I couldn't write. I could read at a high level from studying the doctrine, but I couldn't write a sentence. I couldn't use a comma. I couldn't really know how to use a period or a paragraph.
Your grandmother pulled you out a few times, was able to get you out a few times. She was. I mean, she was the person that I called when I was 19 and I was desperate and I had nowhere to go and I was illiterate. And she had made me an offer when I was 16, but I just couldn't face the illiteracy. And she said, if you ever want to deal with your illiteracy, you can stay here. And I'll provide health insurance and a car and an allowance, but you have to be dealing with your illiteracy and you have to be studying something. I don't care what you study. Right. Go to beauty school. Didn't she give you the book Roots?
She did. Well, my grandmother grew up in the same town as Alex Haley. My great grandfather was the Blacktown doctor in Henning, Tennessee.
Wow.
And my Aunt Lucy was best friends with Alex Haley growing up. So she asked me to read the book Roots, and I thought it was overwhelming. And then she went to see Alex, and he sent me a copy.
Oh, wow.
He sent me a copy signed, and asked me to read it.
Wow.
Yeah. So in a lot of ways, you could say plugging into a larger picture or a larger idea or historical context bigger than myself was a huge part of my ability to transcend the circumstances.
Something they did too to you in the Scientology Navy, or how you grew up, is they condition you to not have any emotion, to not have any feelings, and you're not given any kind of a touch, any kind of love.
Yeah. I mean, you're told when you're 5 years old that you're a trillion-year-old fallen god in a baby body. So
and you're paying for the sins of your past lives.
Yeah. If anything bad happens to you, they have a word called pulled it in, where you made it happen to you. And you're treated like an adult from almost birth.
Yeah.
You just remember, you've lived billions of lives before, stop acting like a kid. And they have this word called HENR, which means human emotion and reaction. And that's frowned upon. They don't want you being emotional. And so I would argue that the psychological and mental abuse of not being able to be a child and being penned is probably more traumatic than whatever physical abuse I endured.
Wow.
Yeah.
You have many angels along the way who helped you out. You ended up going to this prestigious school in London for economics, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's why it's such an important story, and I didn't write it for Scientology people or ex-Scientology. I wrote it for the world. The whole point of this book is that you can be in the darkest hole of humanity and you can still come back. I escaped when I was 19, unable to write, unable to chickens. You wouldn't be able to read what I wrote.
Right.
And 5 years later, 5.5 years later, I graduated from the London School of Economics, which in Europe is equivalent to Harvard.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily believe that that's by merit. As you said about the angels, there was a lot of people that stepped in to help me along the way.
They saw your talent and they saw what you could do.
Yeah, I think they saw, I don't even know if they saw talent, I think they saw curiosity, just an insatiable curiosity. One thing I say in the book is if you'd been through the level of deprivation that I've been through and you got out of it, you would just want to take in the whole wide world.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Are there still places like that now, the nursery and slum that you, in
It's
LA
not
that you
so
talked
much
about
the
it?
young kids, but they're still recruiting older kids, 15, 16 years old, they're children. And yeah, they're still, they ban the younger kids in the I think the mid to late 80s.
Yeah.
But that didn't mean, there was a lot still around, so those ones had to grow up, and then there's a lot of, I would say yes, there's a lot of children still in there. They would disagree with me, but depends on what you call a child.
Are you being attacked by them? Because I know there are other ex-Scientology folks who are out there.
I think, I hope not. I hope that they would not attack a mixed race victim for surviving.
Right.
I'm not, particularly focused on being out to get them. I'm merely focused on telling my story.
Telling your story.
And removing my shame and telling the story of all the kids that are not around, either through suicide or drug overdoses.
Yeah.
So that story is known, and it didn't happen for no reason. And so I think that in order to master your life, you have to master your story. So I'm trying to master my story. It's not so much about them, I forgive them. I would hope that they would apologize.
And you're doing well right now. You live in Portland?
I live in Portland. Come April, I'll have 6 books out. I wrote a book on trauma.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago. I'm going to Armenia at the beginning of September to bring this trauma recovery to the state of Armenia.
Right.
And I have an extraordinary life, and and that's what the story is about. It's really written for the human condition. It's written for people to know no matter where they are, they can come back. And I would urge the audience, I really want to get this story out of what occurred with these this so-called Sea Organization kids, these paramilitary kids on 4 continents. I mean, there was a base in Johannesburg, South Africa, Mexico City, Copenhagen, Denmark, Florida, Los Angeles, Sydney. Maybe I said Sydney twice, but their story of what it's like to grow up in that paramilitary has never been told. So if you want to support me and my efforts, because the likelihood is I will be attacked, I would just urge your audience to buy the book and help get the story out. And also it's a staggering kind of adventure story.
Gosh. Yeah, it's incredible and really well written.
Thank you.
We want to tell everyone the book again is called Child X, and you also have a book event at Powell's. That's tonight at 7, Powell's City of Books on 10th and West Burnside. We're going to put all the information for you on our website at k2.com. Child X. Jamie Mustard, great to see you again. I'm glad you're doing so well.
You too. Thanks again for having me.
You bet.
Please come to Powell's.
There you go.
Yeah.
We'll be right back with more AM Northwest. Don't go away.